Chapter 4, Section 4, Addition and Subtraction of Polynomials. So as stated in the previous section, we're going to take the polynomials that we learned about in the previous section and we're going to learn how to add and subtract them. Now, when you add and subtract polynomials, all you're doing is combining like terms. So for example, watch this. You have a group of a trinomial plus another group of a trinomial. And out of each one of these groups, you're just combining like terms. And so look, you have a 3x squared plus a negative 2x squared. And that's going to be 1x squared. And then you have a 2x plus a 5x, which is going to be a positive 7x. Remember those signs in between each term. And then we have a negative 2 plus 5. Negative 2 plus 5 is going to be a positive 3. Now we learned how to add integers in chapter 1, so this should not be that big of a deal for you. Combining like terms, we did that in chapter 1 as well. So in letter B, we have one group plus another group, and all we're going to do is find like terms. And so you have 31x to the fourth plus negative 7x to the fourth, which is going to be 26x to the fourth. I'm sorry, 24x to the fourth. 24x to the fourth. Now, we've got to find the like terms. So when you do the like terms, we're going to do descending order. Remember, on this test, I'm going to be very picky. So on this test, we need things in descending order. So we need to find the next highest exponent out of each group. And so the next highest exponent that I see is this one to the third power. And so that's going to go next. And there's nothing in here in the first group to combine that with. So we're just going to bring that down, positive 5x to the third. The next one would be squared, and this is the only squared out of the whole two groups, and so we're going to have a plus x squared. And then I have a negative 2x plus, a positive 2x plus a negative 2x. That goes to 0, and remember, when things go to 0, we just mark them out. We don't write it down. And then you have a negative 1 plus a positive 2, which is going to be plus 1. Alright, for letter C, start with your highest exponent. Again, you have 3x to the third plus 5x to the third, which is going to be 8x to the third. We have negative 4x squared and a positive 2x squared, which is going to be negative 2x squared. We have a negative 5x plus a negative 3x, which is negative 8x. And then we have 3 plus a negative 1/2, which is going to be a positive 2 1/2. Now, one thing that I'm going to ask you to do on the test, when you add these, I'm going to ask you to take your answer and classify them and tell me the degree. And we learned how to do that in the previous section. And so for letter A, for example, I will ask you to add the two polynomials together and write your answer. And so the test will look like this. I want the answer, and I'll have you an answer blank. And then I'm going to ask you to tell me the classification, and I'll have an answer blank, and the degree, and I'll have an answer blank. So the classification of your answer, that's going to be 3 terms, which is a trinomial. And then the degree, remember, is the highest degreed term, which is squared, so it's 2. For letter B, your answer is here. And so the classification, there's 4 terms, so that's going to be polynomial. And the degree is going to be the highest degree term, which is 4. For letter C, again, you have a polynomial. And the degree for this one is going to be 3. Alright, so what if I just tell you to add and I give you a word problem kind of like this? You have to understand what you're doing is you have a trinomial, you're adding a trinomial plus a trinomial plus another trinomial. So basically what you have is negative 3x to the third plus 5x plus 2 plus the other trinomial, x to the third plus x squared plus 5, plus the last trinomial, x to the third minus 2x minus 4. And so that's what you're doing. So once you get it set up, just find the like terms out of each group, starting with the highest exponent first. So I see x to the third. I have negative 3x to the third plus 1x to the third plus 1x to the third. So negative 3 plus 1 is going to be negative 1x to the third. And you can put the 1 if you want. And then I see 1x squared, so that's going to go next. And then I see a 5x and a negative 2x. 5x plus negative 2x is going to be plus 3x. And then I see 2 plus 5 plus negative 4. 2 plus 5 plus negative 4, which is going to give me 7 plus negative 4, which is going to give me what, 3? Again, if I asked you to classify this, this would be a polynomial. Your answer, polynomial with a degree of 3. So let's look at this one. What I have is I have a quadrinomial or polynomial plus another polynomial plus another trinomial plus a monomial. So I have 4 things that I need to combine. Starting with the highest exponent first, I see to the 4th power is going to be the highest. So let's look in all the groups and find to the 4th power. I see 1x to the 4th and negative 9x to the 4th, which is going to be negative 8x to the 4th. I see a negative 2x to the 3rd and a positive 6x to the 3rd, which is going to be a positive 4x to the 3rd. I see a 5 squared, a 6 squared, which is going to be 11 squared, and one more is going to give me a 12 squared, a 12x squared. And then I see 4 and negative 10, which is negative 6, and negative 2, which is negative 8. Again, if I ask you to classify it, this would be a polynomial with a degree of 4. Remember, it's the highest exponent that you see, highest degree term. Okay, so moving into subtraction, we need to understand something that I introduced to you back in chapter 1, so let's review. Remember, if you see a negative symbol in front of a group, that means to change the sign of everything in the group. And so this, for letter A, it's going to turn into negative 4x to the 3rd plus 6x minus 3. So all I did is I changed the sign of each term in the group. Same thing here. I'm going to have negative 5x to the 4th minus 3x squared minus 7x plus 5. Change the sign of everything in the group that follows that negative symbol or that opposite symbol. And that's exactly how we're going to do subtraction. So with subtraction, notice I have a trinomial minus a binomial. So with subtraction, you can either look at it this way. You're still combining like terms, but you cannot forget that you're subtracting. And so you have 7x to the 3rd minus 5x to the 3rd. And then you have the 2x, which is there's nothing to combine. But this is the tricky part. You have 4 minus a negative 4. So if you can see that, that's fine. Just do this problem that way. If it's difficult for you to see that, what I'd like you to do is I would like you to apply what we learned on this slide to these problems. So I call this cross the line, change the sign. And so what you're going to do is you're going to cross that subtraction sign and make it addition, and change the sign of everything that follows. So that turns into a negative 5x to the 3rd, and that turns into a positive 4. And so you have a whole new problem, but now you have addition instead of subtraction. And so now you're going back to just combining like terms. So you have 7x to the 3rd plus negative 5x to the 3rd, which is going to be 2x to the 3rd. I don't have anything to combine with the 2x, so I just bring it down. But now that I see I have a positive 4 and a positive 4, which is plus 8. So to me, it's easier to cross the line and change the sign of everything that follows. Cross the line, change subtraction to addition, and change the sign of everything in the group that follows. So let's try that in B. Let's change the main subtraction sign only, the main subtraction sign to addition, and take the opposite of everything in this trinomial. So this will be plus 4x squared minus 11x and plus 2. And let's combine like terms. So we have negative 3x squared and 4x squared, which is going to be 1x squared. We have 5x and negative 11x, which is negative 6x. And then we have 4 and 2, which is going to be 6. Alright, in letter C, let's try this one more time. Cross your main subtraction sign and make it addition, and take the opposite of every term that follows that subtraction sign that you changed. So in other words, cross the main subtraction sign and make it plus, and take the opposite of every term in the group that follows. And now you're back to adding like terms, combining like terms. 4x to the third and negative 2x to the third is going to be 2x to the third. 2x squared and 3x squared is going to be 5x squared. I don't have anything to combine with that negative 2x, so I'm just going to bring it down. And then negative 3 plus negative 2 is going to be negative 5. And remember, if I asked you to classify for letter A, your answer here would be a trinomial with a degree of 3. Letter B would be a trinomial with degree of 2. And letter C would be a polynomial with degree of 3. So here are your practice problems. You're going to add this first set and then you're going to subtract this second set. The answers are on the next slide. Bring them into class if you have any problems.